It's Flubber! It's gay.
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it.
Nostalgia is a cruel mistress. You think she loves you, but it's all a matter of manipulation. It's very easy to feel nostalgic about something, especially something from when you were younger. When your mind is still developing, it's a lot easier to be entertained by something without really questioning the ethics or overall quality of it. Which is why we're peaceful children when we're younger, and then inevitably we grow up to be miserable YouTube reviewers with under 12k subscribers talking about a movie that no one remembers, and the people that do don't care. But the downside of hindsight is that when looking back, you could realize something that you loved is actually shit. Except for Batman Forever. Y'all can go to hell for not liking Batman Forever. Val Kilmer is the best live-action Batman to date, and I will scientifically prove it. The movie is actually a remake of the movie The Absent-Minded Professor, and from what I can see, it's not even the first of its kind. But since I've never seen or researched those movies and I know dick all about them, we're not really going to talk about them. Flubber begins the way that all bad movies do, with unnecessary dialogue that really just serves as exposition, and never sounds like anything that would ever come out of a real human's mouth.
Oh, yes, I did. You know, if I could solve this whole metastable compound business, I could save the college. The wedding! Sarah, hi. Oh, the wedding. Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Are you, honey?
It's today.
You sure?
This is going to be the very last time I try to marry you.
I imagine so.
Well, the years we've known each other, studying, working together. What happened between us, Phil?
Well, I just got tired of you stealing my ideas, Wilson.
I know that I love you, but I'm not sure that you can love me.
There's no doubt you're the brighter of the two of us. You have a genius for science. I grant you that. It's just the science of daily life that eludes you. I won't deny that I hate you for your brilliance. I'm petty, corrupt. I'm here this weekend to steal your fiancée and make her my wife.
Robin Williams, its main star, is playing a character by the name of Philip Brainerd. Brain Nerd. And because I have just a little bit of dignity left, we're just going to refer to him as Robin throughout the rest of this review. Immediately, we're shown how forgetful Robin Williams is, as he forgot to fire his agent before making this movie. Williams lives up to the former movie's title of being absent-minded, and also a professor, forgetting his fiance's friends and coworkers' names.
Hello, Ruthie.
Martha.
Martha, what?
Martha, me, Martha.
You, Martha. Me, Professor.
Good luck.
Thank you, Betty.
Showing up and giving a speech in the wrong classroom, and of course, forgetting to show up for his own wedding. Again. I say again because it's immediately clarified that this is in fact the third time that they're attempting to get married. Now, not to be sexist here, but no woman is going to want to put up with that shit. If you forget to call a woman you slept with after 2 nights, it's a problem. I can only imagine what standing a woman up on her wedding day, multiple times, mind you, would do. I'm pretty sure that legally she could castrate you. And they're just going to let her walk. I can't imagine in any reality this being plausible, even for a movie about a living, breathing pile of green goo. Even in that kind of movie, this is a stretch of the imagination. He literally forgot his wife at the altar. Multiple times. You know, I've never heard that excuse before, but just in case, I'm going to keep it in mind and put it on the back burner. I mean, I'm sorry. There's no reasonable time to forget your wedding. Your anniversary? Sure. We men, we're famous for shit like that. But the wedding day itself, come on, you're pushing it, man. You're pushing it. Williams is a struggling scientist. I would make a joke about how everybody from the 90s was a struggling scientist, but again, as this is a remake of a movie called The Absent-Minded Professor, I'll just skip it. While being an unfortunate inventor, despite clearly having a bunch of working inventions in his home, including one that's voiced by the Little Mermaid.
Morning, Weebo.
instead of me.
No, you love him. Don't give him up.
He is also a science teacher in the same school his fiancée works at, probably for the convenience of the plot. It's also the place his arch nemesis who stole his inventions works, and he immediately makes his intentions clear.
I'm here this weekend to steal your fiancée and make her my wife.
Like, crystal clear. And he does it in comic book villain style.
You sly dog! You got me monologuing! I can't believe it.
Seriously, the dialogue is so bad, I'm in physical pain. But I should get used to it, though. It's gonna be a long time. It's gonna be a long watch. So this machine, who I shit you not, is named Weibo. A fucking machine called Weibo.
Morning, Weibo.
Has been hiding things from Williams throughout the whole film. She deletes files to sabotage his relationship because she has a very blatant crush on him. Because I guess this part of the movie is actually a backdoor pilot for the movie Her. Which is also weird because isn't he also her creator? So, like, wouldn't that make him kind of like her father? Also, wouldn't she be a bit, I don't know, underage-ish? And more importantly, isn't that a fucking computer? Why is a computer trying to bang you? This is a decade and a half before the invention of sex bots. Her main role is to remind you it's a Disney movie by playing mostly licensed Disney clips at random, when she feels they coincide with what's going on. Man, she'd really do great if she was around years later in meme culture. Williams is combining sugar, spice, and everything nice when he accidentally mixes in some chemical X, and makes this green gooey shit that seems to have a personality for some reason. Or at least more of a personality than the rest of the cast outside Robin Williams. After determining that this new thing is in fact a living being, he decides then to immediately physically abuse and sexually violate it. You know, for science. He has Weibo, and I will never tire of saying that name, he has Weibo take a picture, and the flash apparently sets Flubber off the walls. Literally. And oh god, I almost forgot this poor kid. Throughout the movie, randomly at different points in it, we're just seeing... Throughout the movie, randomly at different points in time, we're seeing the road that will undoubtedly lead this kid to years and years in therapy. He's a running gag, but Jesus, he does nothing wrong in order to receive this kind of constant torture. If you're gonna ruin a child's life, then at least have a joke that's worth it. Now no one's laughing. Spending all his time in his basement playing with his goo? That sounded different when I wrote it. He forgets his wedding a third time, only to be told it's 3 strikes and you're out. His fiancée isn't even mildly impressed with his new invention. Poor guy, he might be really upset by that. So of course the douchebag from earlier tries to move in for the kill. Oh yeah, and then we have this storyline that comes out of nowhere with the dad from Walk Hard and Shut Up Wesley from Star Trek. If I could just take this time to point this out. Will, you blocked me on Twitter, man. What's that about? I've never talked to you or about you until now. You've never come up on my radar, Will. Why'd you do this to me, Will? Why would you do this? I thought we had some. Oh, man. It's okay. I actually don't give a fuck. Wesley's pissed off that he flunked Robin Williams' chemistry class and is now off the basketball team. His dad complains to his guards as if it were somehow their fault his son was the worst character on The Next Generation.
The boy knew that we were having persuasion problems, sir.
I have a science requirement, you morons!
Quiet.
But shut up, Wesley.
And is that Buffalo Bill? This guy has Buffalo Bill as a goon?
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
In order to intimidate Williams into giving Wesley an A, Buffalo Bill and company head to the house. Williams, who should be in mourning over his failed relationship, is, of course, playing with his goo in his basement again. Flubber proceeds to accidentally murder 2 men. No, seriously, watch this and tell me that this guy still got a pulse. As a matter of fact, take a look at all these clips and you tell me what you think the survival rate of this movie is. Are you exhausted yet? Well, take a breath because we're only a half hour and 5 storylines in. We still got another hour and 5 more storylines to go. Determined to win his fiancée Sarah back, Williams and Weibo help apply Flubber to his car in an effort to impress her. Because a flying car is really just the answer to every problem, isn't it? In the process, he watches Shooter McGavin attempt to woo his former fiancée, much to his dismay. The dad from Leave It to Beaver tries to force her on a date with a bet, stating that if his basketball team wins, they date, and if her team wins, they don't. It's an agreement she never agrees to, but that's still enough to upset our hero, who then decides to find a direction for the plot. Meanwhile, Weibo tries to come on to her creator, but to no avail as he is an absent-minded professor. I'm starting to understand why they changed the title now. After not acknowledging her advances, she creates a physical hologram of a human version of herself, and tries to molest him in his sleep. Sleeping Beauty style. This wakes Williams, who is suddenly inspired by his near sexual assault encounter, so inspired that he gets the idea to put Flubber on the bottom of the basketball player's shoes to make sure Sarah's team wins so that Sarah doesn't have to go on a date she didn't agree to go on. Of course! This movie also does this really confusing thing where they don't make it entirely clear if Sarah and Robin are actually still together but just not as serious, or if they're just officially broken up with at this point. But honestly, that's a small detail to complain about in hindsight of everything else that's just really confusing. It's the big game, and Weibo is left in charge of Flubber while Robin Williams is out trying to rig the game. We see Sarah and Robin's school team, and it's not promising. It's basically the chess club going against pure athletes. Weibo, in the meantime, spends time with Flubber getting shots for the trailers. Throughout the game, Williams goes from several shades of depression, starting with his comedic worry faces and ending with threatening to fail a student if he doesn't make a shot. No, I'm serious, he does that shit.
Jump with all your soul. But I'm on this end, sir. Jump! Or I'll flunk you. Okay. I think that's a little harsh. Jump!
Flubber proves to be the boost needed, because now Williams' team has won, and now Sarah won't get date raped. Hooray! Williams confesses to Sarah immediately after the game, and somehow, she's still not all that psyched. However, Wesley, his dad, and Goons are present during the game and see the performance, attributing it to the same goo that slugged the crap out of the Goons. They're also able to see his car fly away. Because, oh yeah, that's not really discreet at all, is it? Williams has a really forced, really stupid, and really terrible excuse of a conversation with Weibo in order to try to make us feel sympathy for him and get us on his side.
I'm not absent-minded because I'm selfish, crazy, or inconsiderate. I'm absent-minded because I'm in love with Sarah.
And his line, and I quote, "I'm not absent-minded because I'm selfish, crazy, or inconsiderate. I'm absent-minded because I love Sarah." Bull fucking shit. If you loved her, you wouldn't have forgotten her at the altar on 3 separate occasions. You wouldn't constantly put your own needs before her at all times. She wouldn't be a secondary character in this movie if you loved her. Absent-minded because I'm in love, that has to be the dumbest shit I've ever heard. This week, Weibo, feeling selfless, flies to Sarah's house and shows her the tale of the tape.
I'm not absent-minded because I'm selfish, crazy, or inconsiderate. I'm absent-minded because I'm in love with Sarah.
Sarah immediately forgives him, mostly off-screen, as the next scene is them flying around talking about how to sell and market Flubber in an effort to save the school. Upon landing back home, they're threatened by the bad guys, and threatened with the offer of making money. Wesley's dad wants to buy Flubber off them, but they refuse because they want to save the college, because that's also a thing now. Williams is in debt to Wesley's dad because he got his son kicked off the team, I guess? I don't know, I'm trying hard to give a fuck here. Not taking their initial no for an answer, the goons break into Robin's house as he and Sarah are out selling flying cars. As you do. The goons cause mayhem, kidnap Flubber, and kill Weebo. Yeah, I shit you not. They fucking kill Weebo. And let me assure you, in case you thought it wouldn't be, it's heartbreaking. And that's not even sarcasm. It's actually surprisingly sad. And kind of brutal, too, now that I think about it.
Leaks battery fluid.
After that scene, Sarah remembers that Weebo flashed a file before she passed. Williams finds himself unable to remember the file until he's given one of Sarah's magic kisses, and then suddenly he remembers everything clearly. Which, by the way, I know that was put in to tie in with the scene from earlier, with Williams saying he's only forgetful because he's in love. But the movie also doesn't understand that they completely contradicted themselves, as Robin was implying that because he has Sarah in his life, he can't remember anything else. Which also doesn't make sense, once again. Finding the file, they're shown a video of Weebo in human form, giving them access to what she calls her daughter, a program based on her own self and her creator. So incest.jpg, got it, right. Robin and Sarah show up to the bad guy's super rich mansion, as all bad guys have, and Robin says he wants to sell them Flubber, but the bad guy tells them he already has it. Robin then informs him that he's the only one who can properly control Flubber. An agreement is stricken up, and the bad guys take the two lovebirds to see that Captain Douchebag is also working for them. Because of course he is. It's obviously a trap, and they have Flubber substance on the soles of their shoes. They use the lights of the car to flash Flubber in order to make it fly across the room. This leads to a completely unfunny sequence, where the movie tries its hand at action and physical comedy, but fails completely at both of them. It's just bad slapstick followed by bad slapstick, with a side dish of equally bad slapstick. There's so much to hate about all of it. But at least this ends on the logical closure point of Flubber acting like Richard Gere's gerbil on Opposite Day. Oh wait, no, that's not the end. The end of the movie is Williams, for a fourth time, not showing up to his own damn wedding, and his wife just finally accepting it. Then they fly off in their fucking flying car with Flubber dancing and Weebo's Wincest daughter bitching about her adoptive sibling. And that's it. That's 1997's Flubber. And for a movie called Flubber, this sure only kinda sorta maybe had something to do with it. As a sentient creature, we're hardly ever shown Flubber. And despite being a living being, it has zero personality. It's barely in its own movie. Sure, we can see the effects of Flubber throughout, and 2 of the 12 plots in the movie are centered around its creation, but overall, it's just hardly a thing. The movie feels like the Tron of its generation. A movie made with the interest of testing what modern CGI and special effects at the time could do, while maybe selling a few toys along the way. I remember when it came out, there was merchandise everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. Everyone was hyped for this movie. Everyone had a Flubber plushie or a Beanie Baby. Everyone bought the Burger King Flubber toys that came with the meal, and the cups. The hype was real. But then once the movie came out, it just kind of stopped. And now, all these years later, well, I can see why. The one good thing I can say that came from this movie is that Amazon has been developing a real-life Weebo based on this obscure 90s remake of an obscure 50s film. What a time to be alive. The movie is so bad that I can now see why Robin Williams chose to hang himself rather than live in a world where he made this piece of crap. Okay, alright. Obviously I'm joking there. It's not that bad. But it was bad. Like spectacularly bad. It's bad, but in the most beautiful of ways. It's a must-see train wreck of epic proportions. And honestly, for all I've said about the movie, still, my words can't do it justice. Go out and see it yourself. It is Robin Williams at his unfortunate worst. And even then he still comes off as charming and I hate to say likable, but likable despite the character he has to play. It is a great bad movie. So with that being said, I'm the Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso, and if you like the words that came out of my mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's plenty more where this video came from. Follow me on Twitter because, hell, why not? It's not considered stalking if it's on the internet, am I right? And don't forget to join the Discord. I don't have anything catchy to add to that, but just join it. Just go do it. And if you have a free moment of time and a free dollar to spare, then head over to my Patreon, where for just $1, you too could help keep this boat afloat. And if you don't have that dollar, but you do have a free moment of time, then hit the share button. It will help me out tremendously.
VTards, oh.